Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Kirsch1, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about Necromunda. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. And if you don't know what Necromunda is, please check out our 40 Facts on Necromunda, Part 1. It gives you an overview of what this Hive City planet is all about. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the noble houses of Necromunda. Necromunda's capital is Hive Primus, also known as Palatine. The Hive's noble houses are in constant Byzantine power struggles to gain control of the Hive, and thus of the entire planet. The 7 most important houses are the noble houses, whose domain extends throughout the spire, the part of the Hive that stretches above the cloud top layer. The noble houses are the controllers of the Hive's commerce. They trade far and wide throughout the Imperium, and with other hives on Necromunda. The noble houses compete against each other for wealth and political power, always seeking to further their own interests at the expense of their rivals. Intrigue and fear of assassination dominates the lives of their ruling families. The most powerful noble house is the Imperial or ruling house of Helm. Its domain is the very top part of the spire, the most desirable territory in the whole Hive. Lord Helm, the leader of the house, controls the entire planet. He represents the mighty Adeptus Terra of Earth, and the governing body of the Imperium of Man. To the greater universe, Lord Helm is Necromunda, and the planet is his to rule as he pleases. The patriarchs and merchant families of the noble houses vie for his attention, and are eager to perform whatever favors are necessary to secure landing and shipping rights, trading licenses, and tax concessions. Even while they curry Lord Helmar's favor, the noble houses scheme behind his back, hoping that one day House Helmar will be brought down and a new imperial house will inherit his domain. The 7 noble houses of Necromunda are House Helmar, House Catalyst, House Tai, House Olentai, House Grime, House Ranlo, and House Co-Iron. These houses usually don't play a direct part in most of the fighting and exploration of the Underhive. Noble House Catalyst is one of the 6 noble houses of the Spire. Once a large and proud prosperous house, preeminent among all elite noble houses of Necromunda, second only to House Helmar itself. It had large stakes in most hives on the planet. Then, over 2,000 years ago, civil war broke out in what is still remembered as the most vicious conflict in the archived histories of the noble houses. What triggered the war, or even why the factions disagreed, is not known. But for over 100 years, House Catalyst was torn apart by assassinations and embroiled in open warfare between house factions and bloodlines in internal power struggles for the house's wealth. The ancestors of what is now House Catalyst emerged as the victorious faction, exiling their defeated relatives into the Ash Wastes in what was supposed to be a death sentence, never to return to the protection of the hives. Some outcasts survive in the wastelands beyond the safety of the hives, and their resiliency underestimated by the victors. Though now polluted, the air was then still breathable, and they thrived in the desert, becoming the nomad gangs that wander the toxic wastes, doomed by their forefathers and still living with the shame that their ancestors cast them out from the safety of the hive. The double-bladed knife was a ritual weapon traditionally carried by members of House Catalyst, dating back to the house's prominence. Since the exile, it has become a common weapon of the Ash Waste nomads and the Outhivers, and a symbol of the nomad struggles. The double blade allows a fighter to parry with it like a sword, even though it is just a knife. While House Catalyst sends out its young men and women in Spire teams to prove themselves ready to rule like the other noble houses, they are not sent into the Underhive. Instead, they are sent to the Ash Wastes to hunt the nomads descended from their ancestors' enemies in what is more a traditional ritual than genuine revenge. In practice, nomads, shanty dwellers, and even guilder caravans are all hunted as vermin who hate and fear the spires in return. Another notable house is Noble House Olentai. Noble House Ullantai's territory includes a palace with a needle-thin tower on the outside of the spire, famously the former home of Mad Donna, the daughter of old Sylvanus Ullantai, current house patriarch. Part of the complex trading relationship between noble and hive city houses, the Ullantai contract is a lucrative deal, whereby the hive city houses compete to supply the core requirements to house Ullantai exclusively, while the house itself competes with the other noble houses to buy the other houses' produced goods. Many centuries ago, House Delac supplied the contract, but in a bid to usurp them, House Orlok bribed dozens of underhive gangs to sabotage Delac mining and supply operations, destroying fuel lines to a Delac guild factory, and so utterly disgracing them in the eyes of House Ultai, who were quick to award the contract to Orloks instead. But while the Ullantais owned many of the resources for the contract, simply leasing them to the operators of various trade contracts to harvest, the Delacs refused to turn them over to House Orlok, seizing them as their own and blockading the supply lines, transport routes, and mine entrances around the contract zone, in retaliation, escalating the feud. The Orloks had no problem producing iron and other minerals and metals, simply using their existing pits, forges, and factories, but they were forced to take more direct action to acquire the many fuels needed to manufacture las cells, which were scarce while the Delac blockade was in place. Lord Ominous Orlok II sent a dozen or more Orlok gangs, led by his youngest son, Kagil, in person to seize Drypos Falls and the valuable fuel production facilities that were there. Outnumbered and completely taken aback by this blatant display of hostility, the Delacs realized no victory was possible and planted charges instead, setting the chemical rivers that fed Drypos ablaze and blasting the falls canyon into pieces, killing dozens of Orloks and the many Delacs too slow to escape. Such open warfare drew the attention of the noble houses to the mounting feud, and Lord Arius Helmar was forced to intervene. Openly, he ruled that Delac's actions were unacceptable, voiding all contracts with them, but in private, he used it as an opportunity to make the well-known Delac-Helmar connection less obvious, offering them handsome rewards as his eyes and ears in Hive Primus, on the condition that they kept the arrangement secret. In a gesture to the Delacs, Helmar accused the Orloks of failing to keep their gang in check, and despite his protest, forced Lord Ominous to outlaw and exile his son, who had been among only a handful of survivors of the Drypus, threatening the loss of the Ultai contract if he did not comply. From that day forward, the two houses have been bitter enemies, their hatred remaining unabated, and they have taken every opportunity to sabotage, slander, and discredit each other. The violent rivalry remains despite the sensation of open warfare. Like the sons and daughters of most noble houses, young Ultais are sent in spire teams, or if preferred individually, to the Underhive to prove themselves tough and resourceful, to take on their place among the ruling families. The Ultais have an exclusive hunting club, which one solo Orus hopes to be allowed to join after completing his vow of 10 kills, 10 times the usual requirement, and returning beyond the wall. Noble House Coiron is one of the 6 noble houses of the Spire. Coiron has a powerful female line, and in contrast to the other patriarchal noble houses, is led by a series of matriarchs descended from the maternal line. Far from the most powerful noble house, it maintains its position in the Spire, from the ownership of several ramshacked Hive City Manufactura districts and a few choice off-world charters. Possibly as a result, many well-known Coirons are famous outside the house only for their political marriages to other houses, and it is fitting that a gambling game is named after it, Coiron 6 card. Nearly 10 years ago, House Delac lost the lucrative Coiron contract, severed all contact with the noble house on the sundering of their ancient deal, and effectively stranding their agent, Kralin Delac, who had taken on an oath to serve the noble house, while the Delac Coiron contract was in effect. And those were 40 facts on the noble houses of Necromunda. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, share it with your friends. Necromunda is coming very, very soon, so expect a giveaway when that comes out. We're going to be putting out a lot more lore on Necromunda as the days go by. We still have the Underhive gangs. We still have just a variety of different specific gangs that we want to talk about, so we're going to do that. Now, it's one thing to look at the artwork of Necromunda, but it's completely different to look at the models. There is a YouTuber by the name of Kiblams, a really awesome channel, and he put out a video, I think in August, showcasing his Delac gang. So definitely check him out. I'm going to link the video down in the description below. Let him know One Mind Syndicate sent you, and of course subscribe to his channel because he does some awesome reviews, and he just does a really good job of making the videos look really professional and really they just look nice. So definitely check him out, subscribe, and yeah. And if you have any suggestions about Necromunda that you guys would want to know about, comment down below. We'll try to research it for you guys. If you like what we do, support us by jumping over to Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos. If you can't, by liking, commenting, and sharing, you're basically telling YouTube, hey, I like these guys' content. Help them out, and we do get help from YouTube. So with that said, guys, I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.